Hello, this is Billy Tarasio with the Modern Divorce Podcast, joined today by attorney Limor. I'm going to let you pronounce your last name.
Hi, Billy. This is Limor Mojdehi Azad.
I love it. It's beautiful. Mojdehi Hizad. Was I close?
Close. Just pronounce all the letters. That's what you need to do.
There's a lot of letters.
There's a lot of letters. There's 11 letters right there. Yep.
It's beautiful. Welcome to the show. Today's going to be fantastic. So if you follow me on social, then or maybe if you don't follow me on social, you may already know Attorney Limor. You've got a huge social media following. You are a family law attorney in Los Angeles, and you've got great stuff on social media.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And so we're going to talk about it. And she has done recently a ton of analysis and reporting on Kim and Kanye's divorce, detail by detail, really focusing on what's happening in social media.
Yes. What I've done, and I think what's most interesting for the audience is that I look through the court docket. Right? These people are putting things out on social media. And to me, it's kind of like, let me see, is it part of the court docket, or are they just blowing smoke to get something dealt with outside of court? And a lot of the time, that's what it is.
So the dispute is not showing up in the court paperwork that we are seeing online.
Exactly. So most recently, a lot of people tag me in articles that Kanye West is saying, I want full custody of the kids because Kim always uses nannies to take care of the kids. Okay, well, let me check the court docket. Did you request full custody? No, you're just saying it.
Yeah. What I find so fascinating about this is we have had an inside scoop on celebrity divorces a lot of times, but never quite like this. So when you've got articles that are saying, Kanye wants full custody, I know that that's probably some text message that got shot off in some disagreement between parents who are trying to discuss their kids while they're going through a divorce. And he shoots off, well, I'm just going to ask for full custody. And then, and that happens every day to our clients, every day.
Every single day. And I think in the celebrity world, and most likely with Kanye West, he knows he can't actually get full custody. So What does he do? Torments her in the media. Right. Yeah. He just keeps tormenting her to see what can I get without going to court. Because I know I'm not going to win in court. His attorneys have told him, please don't make us look dumber than we look. Okay. We're not going to court for full custody, but he'll do things like that. And, I've talked about what he did with the school, how he revealed the children's school. Right.
So talk about that.
Yeah, so we know that's a legal custody decision. We know he said that they share joint custody, but we also know, Billy, that when parents get to an impasse, you have to think about, do I go to court over the school, or can I do something else to get my way? Because if you can't decide and one parent takes the action that they want to take, it doesn't feel like joint legal custody. It doesn't.
No, and so let's just take a step back here so that people can understand what's happened. So first of all, what I don't know is, where did the kids go to school before, or have they always gone to school in this particular school?
Always gone to this school.
Okay. So they've always gone to this school. The parties have temporary joint legal decision-making. Do you call it that there in California?
We call it temporary joint legal custody, which is decision-making authority.
Sure. Okay. And then at some point he decided he didn't want them to go to school there anymore.
And that's what it sounds like. He says that it's a godless school. He's become more religious.
Oh, isn't that always the case? It is so ridiculous to me how often people become righteous and religious in their divorce. Drives me nuts.
Yes. Yep. And it happens all the time. You're so right. Yep.
Okay. So we've got the kids in a school that the parents chose together that now is too godless. Kim said, no, I don't want to move them. So what does he do? He doesn't go to the court to ask for a change of schools because that would be denied. He instead just outs them and says to the public. Now, how did that go down exactly?
So he went on a rant as usual. I think it was on a Sunday, and he was just going and going and going. And in the middle of the rant, like part 2 of the video, maybe, he said, and I never wanted my kids to go to this school. Me and the men in this family never have a right to make any decisions. I gotta, he even said something like, I gotta ask Travis if he had any say in this, or Tristan if he had any say in this, right? And it's like, what? Your children have gone to this school, and they have 4 kids. Right. They don't just have 1 kid, right? And, right. What we see on social media, we know that his daughter is in basketball. We know all these things. And to think you want to switch the school because you no longer are the way, you now believe in God or whatever it, because of your own personal things, it's not the way it works.
So he outed the name of the school. Have the children, are the children still going there?
Yes, I believe that they are.
Okay. And do you think that he was intending to make their lives so miserable that he wanted to change schools, or do you think it just slipped out?
Oh, no, I think it was very intentional. I think it was very, very intentional. I think that he likes to create problems. I think that he likes to create problems. And, it's very sad because you see, he's spoken negatively about Kim, right? Mm-hmm. He said she did that Vanity Fair interview and she said something about working women, right? And he even said, you guys just got a small glimpse of the things that she says and the way that she acts. That's not fair.
Talk about piling on. I mean, yeah, it was an ill-advised comment, but she's been punished enough.
Right. And he just brings these things up and it's like, what is this going to get you? Nothing.
Right. But, he cannot help himself, but wants to win.
Right. And I think that, you and I know there's no winning in these scenarios.
No.
Right? There's no winning.
No, and Kim is in for, I think, a never-ending high conflict situation. There's really nothing that she or the court can do to prevent this from probably continuing as is forever.
Yes, no, I don't see an end in sight. And, people always say, it's 18 years. No, it is the rest of your lives. You're going to see each other at the children's weddings. They're going to have kids, holidays. Maybe one day you'll spend them together again, which, who really knows, but no, it's going to be never ending. It's going to be never ending.
Does California have a presumption for joint custody?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Is she, in the beginning, it seemed like Kim and Kanye were working fairly well together and had come to some agreements, and which is beautiful and amazing. And that's kind of what happens many times when you've got parents who are used to co-parenting and they're pretty good at it. They've done it. They're in the same house. They're okay. They're on the same team. Even when they first decide to divorce, they can still agree conceptually to stay on the same team for their children. And then it all falls apart. So is the agreement that she came to for joint legal custody permanent?
Right now it's temporary because they haven't resolved those issues. The only issue that's been resolved is dissolving their marital status, terminating their marital status. That's the only thing that there is some finality to. Everything else, is temporary until they have a final judgment.
Okay. So in this case, I would certainly advise Kim to get sole legal custody without a doubt. Because I don't know how to even describe, like, the conflict will never end as long as there is the ability to create conflict. That's just the way this personality type goes.
I completely agree with you. And I don't know if you have in Arizona tie-breaking authority.
Yes. So we can't, so that is called like final legal decision making, but it's hard to get here. Is it hard to get in California?
I want to say yes, but I've gotten in a lot of my cases where we all know one party should have sole legal custody, but the court doesn't really want to do that. So they'll do tie breaking. And we can even do carve outs for just educational decisions, religion, right? Like you can be tie breaking authority just for that one item. So it's possible to get, not a lot of people even know about it. That's the thing.
Oh, really? People think it is either sole or joint.
Right.
Okay. And do you think under these circumstances that Kim is likely to be awarded, or has she even asked for sole custody?
She hasn't asked.
Well, why the heck not?
A lot of people have asked me that. And I think what it is they do not want to file the paperwork because they know we're all watching. Right. And I think another part of it is, I think she knows that no matter what she agrees to, she's going to have all the power, right? We've seen it where parents will beg for time with kids. They'll beg for legal custody, all of that. But when the other parent, asks them and says, listen, we have new insurance, we have to pick a new doctor, they send an email about all the doctor choices, the other parent doesn't even respond. Right. So then they kind of have sole legal custody, right? Or if, someone like Kanye West asks for week on, week off visitation, he's not taking it. He's not taking it. So maybe you sign off on it, and you know that it's not actually what's going to happen. But I think that in this case, they're going to do everything they can to just keep it out of court.
So I talked to Chris Melcher about that. He's also another attorney there, because I am mind boggled that these things aren't sealed for the benefit of these poor minor children. And he said that that's very difficult to do.
He's right. So obviously our parentage actions, when the parties are not married and they have children, those are obviously confidential because those cases. Yes, because those cases are all about the children. So they're basically minor cases, kind of.
Yeah.
Think about it. So those are sealed. I can't even get, you have to be attorney of record to even see a copy of something. And when you have clients call in and they want you to take over their case and they don't want to sign the sub yet for whatever reason. And, those cases, I need to be attorney of record to get access.
Yeah.
But when you're in a divorce, it's all public record. You can stipulate to seal your case. Do judges sign off on those stipulations? I've seen it, right? And you can I think you can do this. You probably do this too. You can file things with, you can lodge them in the court. So just the front page is part of the public record.
Right.
But I'll tell you something. A lot of these attorneys, I think, with the high profile, this is just my opinion, but with the high profile cases, they want us to see what's going on. That's what I think. Just my opinion on it. I think that they know that we're going to see it and they want us to see it.
Yeah. I think it is tragic that this has not been sealed. And I think if unmarried parents if those children have the right to privacy, then the children of married parents should have the right to privacy.
I'll tell you something. I have the entire record, and part of one of the documents, I think it was the reply declaration. One of the exhibits was their prenup.
Yeah.
Why do I have a copy of their prenup?
That's a private document. It shouldn't.
And I've told I don't, they redacted obviously the schedules in the back. So I don't know the assets and liabilities.
Account numbers.
Thank God. But it's still part of the public record. And there was no reason to attach the entire prenup, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. This wasn't a bifurcation hearing, has nothing to do with the prenup, except that Kanye West was asking for certain terms that Kim's side was saying, this has nothing to do with the bifurcation. And by the way, is this your way of telling us you don't think the prenup is valid? Like, what is happening? And whether it's intentional or not, the fact that these people are going to court on these issues with all this money and all this power is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. You can resolve your entire case without ever stepping foot in court.
You haven't been divorced, have you?
I haven't been divorced. Yeah.
Kanye will not come to any agreements, even agreements he agrees with, even
There
things
we
he agrees
go.
with, he will not
There-
agree to
Mhm.
because he feels like he will be giving up some leverage by agreeing to something that he has no problem with.
It's so strange to me. And a celebrity bifurcation hearing, you can stipulate to that too. What are you
Yeah.
doing? But we all saw he wanted these ridiculous terms. I actually was surprised that Christopher Melcher was even representing him, because from what I know in the LA family law community, he keeps all of his cases private. You don't hear Christopher Melcher's name unless he's giving a seminar, a webinar, unless he's teaching other attorneys how to practice family law, right? He keeps things very, very private. So I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that he was his attorney. But Samantha Spector, I understand. She does a lot of celebrity cases.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about bifurcation, because I think that was something that was pretty confusing to the public. So can you explain what that means and what went down?
Yeah, so a bifurcation is when you ask the court to separate one issue from all the other issues in the case and kind of advance the issue, litigate it now, and be done with it, right? So Kim asked the court to bifurcate the issue of marital status. She wants to be divorced. She wants to be legally separated right now, today, right? And what we saw on the record was that she asked Kanye, let's stipulate to bifurcate. We'll be divorced. All of the headlines will be, they're divorced, right? They're single now, which to the public looks like, wow, it took them a year to get everything resolved and they're all done. That's what the public thinks, right? We know, and we've seen bifurcations all the time, and we know it's just really a marker of the marital status is terminated, but they have all the other issues to litigate. But she went to court to get that because he wouldn't just sign on the dotted line. We all know why. There are very, very few reasons a bifurcation wouldn't go through. I mean, I've never seen one not go through.
Sure.
Ever,
Yeah. I mean,
right?
it's a no-fault divorce state. If you want to get divorced, you get to get divorced. Yes, we have to divide your property. Yes, we have to figure out child support and all those things. But, you get to be divorced if you don't want to be married anymore.
That's it. But he fought it. And he
Yeah.
filed a responsive declaration asking for terms that, make no sense to anyone, but he was asking to preserve his rights that would already be preserved. He was asking for her to not have access to her own money from accounts that she uses to pay her employees. Like it made no sense, but it was, again, him trying to look like he's fighting for something, right?
Sure.
And that he's being taken advantage of and he needs help and he needs protection, when really, no, she's just asking for a bifurcation and she's going to get it. And she got it.
So what is the current temporary agreement? We know we've got joint custody. What is the parenting plan?
So we don't know. We don't know
Okay.
what it is. We know it's joint custody because Kanye West posted that they have joint custody. He said something like, I think what he said was, this is my first divorce. I don't know how joint custody works, but how do I get my kid off social media? That's how we know it's joint custody. What I think that the parenting plan is that the children live with Kim and visit their dad, like maybe it says reasonable visitation or upon 2 days, advance notice or whatever it is.
Okay.
But we've seen him with the kids. She facilitates visitation, so.
Okay. So do we know if there's any support being paid?
There is no support being paid right now.
Okay. All right. And that probably will move forward, right? If neither of them need support on an interim basis, then perhaps no one will need support moving forward. Does that happen very often?
So that is how you would argue it, right? And in this case, they've been now, I think that Kim's petition actually has a to be determined separation date, but they are now divorced and there has been no support. And I do know that their prenup says that there's a limit to the support and a limit to the duration. Now, child support, I don't know, but people say now Kanye West is a billionaire. I think Kim also has maybe almost billionaire status. So if either of them pays support, whoa, I don't even.
It would seem to me that it would not be worth it.
No, well, to you and I, to us.
I mean, so from Kim's perspective, any distance you can get, any issues that can be resolved, anything that can remove conflict will make her life easier.
Absolutely, yes. Now Kanye.
Right. Thrives on conflict, wants to stay relevant, wants to stay in front of him. So let's talk about his behavior with regards to Pete Davidson, with regards to showing up with flowers. Many people have asked, why doesn't Kim go get a restraining order? Would she qualify in California?
So here's what I think. I think she would qualify under disturbing the peace, because I don't remember seeing anything where he is threatening to do anything physical to her. I know that a lot of people say this is emotional abuse, right? They say that, but here's the other side of it. You go to court, and we're going to show, if we're Kim's attorneys, we're going to show the social media posts. We're going to show the screenshots of text messages. I'm sure she has some voicemails. I don't doubt it, right? We're going to show all of that to the court. What would Kanye show? Kanye would show, look at Kim's social media. She seems unbothered. She seems completely fine. She does not look scared at all. At all. She's still doing business deals. She was in Milan signing her reply declaration before our bifurcation. She appeared in court. I was too frazzled to go to court because I can't even bear to see her. I'm still dealing with this divorce. I'm still dealing with the separation, right? So I actually, and I've said this before, I only based on what we've seen, I am unsure that she would be able to get a domestic violence restraining order, because what we've seen shows that she's unbothered. Now, the internet is not real life.
Yeah.
It's only, seconds, little glimpses. And she has an entire persona to keep up with.
Well, right. She's got PR people who will present whatever is.
Exactly right. So I think the only way she would qualify is if she would say that he's disturbing her peace. Right. So if we can show there are things she couldn't show up to, or, when she's with the kids, she's too scared to have him take the children with him.
Wow.
Right?
So you have to prove that she is in fear because of the disturbing the peace. You couldn't get it for harassment.
You could, but I don't think that a domestic violence restraining order would be granted.
Under harassment. Got it. Okay. Now, what about Pete Davidson? Do you think he could get one?
So Pete Davidson would have to get, people have asked me this too. Here's the problem. Because I just look at what would the other side argue. Pete Davidson released those text messages between him and Kanye. He initially seemed unbothered. Then what did Kanye West say? He said, oh, nice to see you're back from the hospital and rehab, something like that, right? So, whoa. Was that because of the BS that Kanye did online to Pete Davidson? Right? Did he go to rehab or the hospital or what? Did he have to deal with something because of what Kanye West has said online about him? Then I absolutely think he would qualify for some sort of protection. I really do.
Interesting. So we have a different standard. So in Arizona, I think Kim may be able to get a restraining order under harassment, but I don't know, we have to look at the outcome. What is that outcome? And does that really help her? That I don't know, but I think she could probably get one. Pete, could absolutely get an injunction against harassment. He doesn't meet the relationship test, so he couldn't get an order of protection, but he could get an injunction against harassment. And we don't look in Arizona at what the purported victim is experiencing. We only look at the behavior of the abuser in question.
Right. Yeah. And, domestic violence restraining orders, a lot of people say, I think at the temporary phase, very easy to get. Show us his behavior. What has he said? And honestly, we need one line about how you're feeling. Right. But once you're litigating for that permanent restraining order, the burden is still low, right? But if you can show that the victim, the purported victim of this harassment or what is really unbothered and it's not affected them,
Wow.
you most likely won't get it. And people still think it's so easy to get domestic violence restraining orders, and to an extent it is. But at this point, these judges, they go deep, they dive deep to see what is going on. And Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, she's still letting him see the kids. She hasn't really responded to anything, which I think is the best way to deal with all of this, right? But maybe she could. I think that there are arguments against it. But again, we don't know what's actually happening. Because if that's what we see Kanye doing online, the flower thing, you brought up the flower thing. I kind of forgot about that. A truckload of flowers, that alone maybe could get her a restraining order.
It's an interesting situation. So it's her house, it's her house. So it's potentially trespassing. But I mean, I don't know if he owns the house. He might still own the house.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
He doesn't own that house. And the photo that we saw was not outside her house.
Oh.
It was not outside her house.
So maybe he didn't trespass. We just don't know.
And
the other thing is, an injunction against harassment can prevent contact, but it can prevent social media posts.
Yes. And another thing that I tell people that I let my clients know is I understand this person is dangerous, is harassing you, is disturbing your peace, has been physically violent towards you, all of that. But even with the restraining order, I need you to understand it is a piece of paper. If this person has the capacity to hurt you and wants to hurt you, what I need you to do is put up cameras around your house, change all of your locks, make sure the police have a copy of the restraining order, which they should have, right? And you need to take extra steps to protect yourself, because do not count on that person abiding by the restraining order. Do not count on a cop coming to your house when you call them because this person has trespassed and actually doing what they're supposed to do. You need to take other steps, which is unfair. It's really unfair. You need the protection. They should respect a court order, but we see it all the time, unfortunately.
Right. And many women who are going through divorce, even if they have not been physically abused in the past, fear that the situation and the circumstances will cause their soon-to-be ex-husband, their husband, to hurt them. And why do they believe that? Because it happens. Yes. And regardless of how Kim looks on social media, knowing that her husband has a mental illness, is feeling things very, very, very deeply, and is hurt very, very deeply, there's no doubt in my mind that she is in danger, and a restraining order might just escalate it, and responding might just escalate it. And so personal security is probably the best she can do. And not everyone has that option.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Yes. Court absolutely escalates everything in these situations, even the custody stuff, right? It absolutely, absolutely does. And when you think about high profile, high net worth individuals doing things behind the scenes, much better, much better. The protection, like you said, having personal security, that's better than a restraining order for her. Right. For her. Absolutely. But the restraining order, a lot of times on the other end, we say it's a paper trail. Please go get it. I understand. Please go get a restraining order. We want to make sure we have a paper trail of what is happening. And at a certain point, I was shocked that Kim did not go in ex parte for custody or for a restraining order or for whatever. And then I thought, maybe it's just because she has a handle on things. Just like you said, with the security, with the custody, with all of it. And I think that Trevor Noah, brought up a very good point, that Kim Kardashian is fighting to get people out of jail for being wrongfully convicted. A lot of those people are Black. Does she really want to be responsible for putting a restraining order against a Black father, a Black man? So that blew my mind when Trevor Noah pointed that out, because I never thought about that.
It's a great point. And I have to think, I mean, I don't know these people, but I have to think that, you know, she loves her husband, understands him, sees him for who he is, and does not want to hurt him. You know, has lived with a bipolar, troubled husband, has worked to de-escalate, and just wants the best for him. She doesn't want him in jail. She wants him healthy. She wants him to behave well. She wants him to move on, but she doesn't want him in jail. She doesn't want to put her kid's father in jail. I think one of the best things that the restraining order can do is it can stop someone from incessantly contacting you. It can set boundaries that can help de-escalate, because many times couples will find themselves in a place where they'll just bombard the other one with feelings and setting up some boundaries.
That's right.
Between the feelings and the communication is great. And the other thing that I think is both of them should be having counselors that they're working with and communications people that are helping them communicate with each other. That would be a big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of people who comment on my post, they're very upset to see someone so rich and powerful, Kanye West, not taking advantage of this, you know, medical care that other people don't even have access to, professionals that people don't have access to. I mean, you and I know a lot of great co-parenting counselors, but the ones that they can afford are the ones we can only dream our clients would ever be able to even pay for 1 hour, because we know they can work miracles, right? We know that, but some people don't even have access to that. So a lot of people are upset that, you know, if you have a mental illness, you have access to the best of the best to handle it, the best of the best. Why are you on social media doing this? And you brought up another great point, incessant text messages. So when Kanye West says, she's not picking up on me, she's not answering me, I have to go to Instagram, then we know he's texting her, calling her, leaving her these voicemails. That would absolutely get you a restraining order. I had a case where one party was texting the other 300 times a day, 300 times a day, and it was all within the same hour.
Yeah. I don't know how that wouldn't disturb someone's peace.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Yes, yes, yes.
So you talked about Trevor Noah. Before we wrap up, can you, I mean, he was very eloquent and he had a lot to say, but there's so much there because he spoke about the situation from a very interesting and high level perspective with lessons for people. So we're not talking about, you know, the gossip, the dish, the dirt. He had real insights that he was trying to share. Can you talk about those?
Yeah. So, you know, the perspective that he was coming from was he has seen his mother deal with an abuser. And I think that the story was that his mother was actually shot by her abuser. She survived, but that's the perspective he was coming with, right? So he talked about the fact that this is the mother of your children. You are family. You will always be family. You're also a very high profile person that a lot of people respect, but you are playing games. And you need to stop playing these games, because if someone like Kim Kardashian still has to deal with this stuff, then society now is seeing that there's no running away from this type of stuff, no matter how much money you have, no matter where you come from, no matter where you're at now. We can't protect, and he was talking about protecting women.
He was.
We cannot even protect women by giving them everything, right? And giving them even a partner that has everything. And you, Kanye West, are the prime example of that. And Why on earth are you the prime example for that? Because you have everything. You have everything, and you are still coming at her from this low vibrational place, right? And technically abusing her for what? To get where? Why are you doing this? What is the point? But you are the prime example of, we really cannot protect women from these types of things. And you are a prime example. And he was disappointed, right, in Kanye West for being that example. And he pointed out also, people don't like Kim Kardashian. A majority of people do not like Kim Kardashian, but everyone empathizes with her because of this situation. You've gotten people from that point to not even liking her to now empathizing with her because of your actions, and you should be ashamed of your actions.
Isn't that interesting? So even though most women could not identify with Kim Kardashian, did not see her as someone that they would empathize with or have anything in common with, that has all changed now, because what Trevor Noah talked about, what we're witnessing is violence against women that plays out all day, every day. He talked about when he was a little boy and his mom went to the police station and the police asked her what she did to invoke the rage of her abusive other, either husband or boyfriend. And like, this is real. And here we get to see this. And so he talked about that perspective. And then he also was very compassionate to Kanye.
Yes, especially, yes, in his response to him too, yes.
He was imploring him to get help, to stop. And he said that we as a society should be concerned because you never, I mean, I didn't know that his mom had been shot, but like, that's a real risk, people. That's a real risk.
Yes, yes, yes. And Kanye has access to whatever he wants. And he has these people who are, I call them goons. They are so obsessed with Kanye West. I get messages. I get people go from my TikTok to my Instagram, and they get different profiles just to say horrible things to me because they're obsessed with Kanye West. And all I do is present what Kanye West puts on social media, right?
Right.
But they get mad at me.
So you are not allowed to infringe. We have this constitutional right of free speech, which means we can post whatever we want on social media. However, there are these carve outs for inciting violence.
Yes.
You are allowed to ban speech that is violent speech. And I wonder if we haven't, when we're calling on, decapitating Pete Davidson, I wonder if we haven't crossed that line.
That's a great point. And Kanye now is no longer on the Grammy lineup, right? And a lot of people, I've asked my followers, what do you guys think about Coachella? Because I fear that Coachella, if you know anything about the festival, it's an outdoor festival with thousands of people. This is the first one since COVID. Everyone is excited to get out, party, listen to music, be in their, own little world. And to have someone like Kanye West, who has also said he's going to bring Travis Scott on stage with him, it kind of scares me because if he acts the way he has on social media, if he says anything, his followers and those people who are tired and sweaty and not really thinking and maybe on drugs, right? I don't have a good feeling about having him on stage at an event like that.
Right. Like our society is already a little bit like on edge.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we don't want another festival, whatever it is, chaotic festival. We want kids and audiences to be able to go to these events and have a great time. And it's not about Kanye and his private life. It should be just about the music, but someone like that, he's a loose cannon.
Right. Final thoughts. What are your predictions on how this divorce plays out?
Yeah, so I would hope that Kim Kardashian, if this social media thing gets any worse, I would hope that she would go to court for custody, because we know that Kanye is never going to sign off on sole legal or sole physical to her. We know that, but I think that that's in the best interest of the children. But I do think that they're going to keep it private. I predict they'll keep it private, and they will probably, hopefully by the end of the year, have a full stipulated judgment that they came to together. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him try to invalidate that prenup. Why? I don't know. I have no idea why he would do that. But he seems like someone that would just file something to file it, right? But if he has good counsel, which he does, he has the best of the best, he wouldn't do something like that. So I predict they'll keep it under wraps, but.
And get it done by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, that's optimistic. I hope that you are right. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. If you all have liked this podcast, make sure to rate it, review it, find Attorney Lamore on social media. Is there any other way that people should contact you?
So social is Lawyer Lamore, and no, let's start there. They can find me from there.
Lawyer Lamore. I said attorney, but it's Lawyer Lamore. Yes, contact her, reach out, and you do practice family law in the LA area.
Yes, exclusively family law.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.